The Kansas City Open's 30th season and Prodigy Bowlers Tour's 9th season began in September at Olathe Lanes East. On our first show of the 2024-25 season, a pint-sized Mighty Mite named Kanan Duncan won all our hearts and the Division 5 title. While a few pairs away, Cooper Farmer made it a clean sweep for short people everywhere as he claimed top honors in Division 1. In October, we traveled to Gladstone, Missouri, where Liliana Gentlemark won the Division 3 title, while Andrew Coleman of the Bowling Coleman family won his first title on Prodigy in Division 1. Then in November, on our first trip to Lawrence, Kansas, Logan Glinka secured his spot in the Prodigy TOC by winning the Division 2 title. And we met a young man named Jesse Holtkamp, who, it turns out, was good friends with one of Prodigy's earliest stars from Georgia, Hunter Moffitt. Jesse made a strong first impression on Prodigy that day, winning the Division 1 title. In December, at our first adult youth doubles tournament of the season, Johnny Futrell and his dad Jay captured the Division 4 championship. And in Division 1, a player we first met a couple of months earlier in Gladstone, Colton Swift, rose to the occasion with his older brother and won the crown in Olathe. The January KCO was snowed out, but in February, Curtis Malum showed that his game was fully thawed as he captured the win in Division 3, while Caden White did what we've grown accustomed to seeing from him, winning another title in Leavenworth. Then, at our return to Lawrence in March, Kelton Myers showed us all how it's done as he never broke a sweat winning the Division 2 title, while Landon Ziegenhurt did what he'd been threatening to do for a while, capture a Division 1 crown. Later in March, we made our annual trek to Belton, Missouri for the second adult youth doubles tournament of the season. In Division 5, Dwight Criswell and his adult partner took down the small field in winning, while over in Division 1, the lefty from Lee Summit, Caleb Conroe, took top honors. In April, we returned to Crown Lanes in Leavenworth, where we met Jonathan Cooper, who won the Division 3 title. And a few pairs away, Tyler Haig grabbed the title in Division 1. In May, we made the trip to St. Joseph, Missouri, and watched Grace Ryder win from the top seed in Division 3. Meanwhile, with the right side of the lane being too chewed up to deal with, Caden White showed us he has a backup ball in his bag of tricks, and he rode it all the way to the title in Division 1. As June arrived, only the KCO Invitational remained on the Kansas City Open calendar, and both telecasts produced high drama. In Division 1, Eli Nathan came close to perfection, throwing a 298. But it was Rhett Ryman who saved his best for last, finally winning a title. And just a few pairs away in Division 2, Andrew Lindsay fended off a strong challenge from Nick Sharp as Andrew won the highest scoring single match in Prodigy Bowlers Tour history, 296 to 267 scratch, for a 563 total, eclipsing the previous record that had been set an hour earlier in Division 1 between Eli Nathan and Tanner Haig. All these KCO champions who were featured on Prodigy Bowlers Tour winning their titles signed the Coveted Trophy Pin, sealing their invitation to today's Prodigy TOC. In addition, all the KCO winners throughout the season, including those who won their titles in the periphery to our left or right on the show, were all invited to compete today. Plus, Just to fatten up the Scratch Division field a little, we also extended special exemptions into the field to all the KCO Division I players who finished the season in the top 10 on the point list. That added 4 more players to the Scratch Division field. Among this group of talented champions and championship caliber players, only one can walk away today with the prize they've all been eyeing since the season began: the coveted trophy pin. Concluding its 9th season, it's Prodigy Bowlers Tour, celebrating junior bowling and elevating junior bowlers. Today, episode 194, the Prodigy TOC, live on tape from America's heartland. 51 contestants qualified, and 40 of them showed up to bowl today. 24 in the Handicap Division, 16 in the Scratch Division. The top 4 in each division secured guaranteed spots in their division's stepladder, while those who qualified 5th through 10th must run the gauntlet of a single ball elimination wildcard round, with the sole survivor emerging to take the 5th spot in the stepladder. Ultimately, the 2 division winners will meet in the Final Showdown to determine who will take the winner's share of Smart Scholarship money and will leave today with the prize this tournament is best known for: the coveted trophy pin. Strap in. It's a blockbuster doubleheader episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Welcome once again to Olathe Lanes East, our host venue for the 3rd year in a row for the Prodigy TOC. Players in both divisions, Handicap and Scratch, began the day with a 3-game qualifying round. We already know who will be bowling in the wildcard round and who's secured their guaranteed spots in the 2 stepladder finals. We'll bring you the action in the Handicap Division first, and then we'll turn our attention to the Scratch Division before all eyes focus on the Final Showdown, where one player will earn the title as Prodigy TOC Champion.
Before we get the action underway, we have a special announcement to make, a big reveal. And to make that announcement, we send you down to the lanes and Coach Randy.
In the first 5 years of Prodigy's existence, during the whole time we were in Georgia, it never even dawned on me to name a player of the year. I guess we just figured that whoever won the coveted trophy pin would be that person. But when we got back up to Kansas City, it's now been 3.5 years since I moved. Hard to believe it's been that long. It occurred to me that maybe we should recognize one player as being the best of the best. Our first recipient 2 years ago was Nolan Nash, who was our only 3-time winner that year. Then last year, the judges couldn't decide. We had 3 that had won twice during the season on Prodigy, and we decided the only equitable solution was to name 3 players of the year, and they were Nolan Nash, Rhett Ryman, and Caden White. And it looked like it might come down to some convoluted ending like that again this year, when we had no multiple winners coming into May. And then one player separated himself when he won for a 2nd time in May. Turns out, of the 10 KCO events held this season, remember we lost the January event to a snowout, he entered 7 of the 10 events. Of those 7 events, his lowest finish was 8th. He had 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 3rd, and a 5th, which means he reached the stepladder finals in 6 of the 7 tournaments he entered, and finished 1st or 2nd in 4 of them. And that doesn't even include his accomplishments outside the KCO this season. And while this is a Prodigy Award, we also can't completely ignore the fact that he started the season being named Missouri USBC Youth Bowler of the Year. He won the KC USBC Championship in Gladstone. He won a couple of Youth Scratch Masters, one here at Olathe East and one in Oklahoma City. He won a couple of 2 or 3 Heart of Americas, the Missouri State Pepsi Salute to Veterans Tournament in Council Bluffs, Iowa. He won a couple of tournaments up in Nebraska. He won a big guy, little guy in St. Louis. Are you tired of hearing this yet?
Who is it?
Who could it possibly be? There's not another youth bowler in this part of the country that had a year quite like our Player of the Year, Caden White. Much deserved. And you want to make a remark? Just to underscore how good this guy is. Not only did he win in February up in Leavenworth, where I have told him he's won in Leavenworth so many times, they need to paint him green and plant him in the yard next to Rex the dinosaur. Then he won throwing a backup ball in St. Joe, where he decided halfway through qualifying that the right side of the lane is just too much trouble. So he goes to his backup ball and he shoots for the afternoon squad. He shoots, what, 714, I think it was, for 3 games. And then he
There you go.
wins the stepladder finals. So anyway, it's just a heck of a year. One of the best junior bowling years I've ever seen. So congratulations, buddy. I may not be done with you yet.
No, we may not be done with Caden just yet today, but first we're going to bring you the action in the Handicap Division. That's coming up right after this.
I didn't mention this at the beginning of the event today, but I have a friend in Chattanooga who contacted me a few weeks back, and he said he wanted to donate a little something for my little tournament. And I was like, what is it? And he told me, I was like, you have one of those? He had one of these dice games. How many of you have seen these before? I had one when I was a kid. They have 10 dice in them. Each die is blank on 5 sides, and the 6th side, there's a bowling pin. And you throw them out on the table, and if no pins come up on top, you made a strike. And any pins that show up on top, you got to throw them again to try to make a spare. And he said, well, you can find some way to give it away. And I decided, you know what? We got 2 kids in the field today who are littler than all the rest. I'm going to have a little competition between the 2 of them today. So I would like to see Caden White. Sorry, I got Caden White. Caden, you're not as big as you thought you were. Kanan Duncan and
Second best dressed name.
Kendall Cochran. I was going to give away one to the winner between these 2, but then I discovered after my friend sent me his, I said, I've got one of those. So I'm giving them both away. You each get one.
It's time we get you down to the lanes for the wild card round in the Handicap Division. Now remember, the 5th spot in the stepladder finals is designated as the wild card spot. One of these 6 players who qualified 5th through 10th will emerge as the sole survivor of the wild card round to claim that 5th spot. But first, they'll have to survive a nerve-wracking test of will. Now, even though this is the Handicap Division, we bowl scratch in the wild card round. Each player will throw one ball in the first frame. The player with the low pinfall is eliminated. If two or more tie, we'll break the tie until we eliminate one player. Remember, to survive, you don't have to have the high pinfall in a frame. You just have to avoid having the low pinfall. Once a player has been eliminated, we move to the next frame. This process repeats until we winnow the field down to just one player, the sole survivor, who will claim that 5th spot in the stepladder finals. They'll bowl in the order they finished in qualifying, with the 5th ranked bowler going first, 6th going second, and so forth. We'll introduce you to each player as they come up in the first frame.
Leading off in the order is Emma Wadersky of Topeka, Kansas, who qualified 5th. Emma reached the Prodigy TOC by winning the Division IV championship at the KCO Invitational earlier this month here in Olathe.
Emma says she wants to be a psychologist or possibly a sports broadcaster. We don't get many of those on Prodigy, but she is set to go. Crosses over, gets just a piece of the head pin, but it's enough to mix them up, and she gets 9.
Qualifying 6th is Andrew Lindsay. You saw Andrew bowl a 296 in winning the Division II title at the KCO Invitational. But he punched his ticket to the Prodigy TOC by winning the Division III championship back at the KCO March Point Tournament.
That 296 was against Nick Sharp, who shot a 267 scratch for the highest scoring match ever on Prodigy. Andrew through the nose, gets 8.
The number 7 qualifier is Maddox Page. Maddox took the Division V crown at the KCO Invitational to stamp his ticket to the Prodigy TOC.
Another one of these young people who says he'd like to be a PBA bowler when he grows up. His favorite pro, Darren Tang. He pulled that one and it went Brooklyn, missing the head pin, and he gets just 6.
The 8th qualifier in the Handicap Division is Kalen Parkhurst of Boonville, Missouri. Kalen qualified for the Prodigy TOC when he won the Division III title at the KCO Invitational.
In addition to bowling, Kalen enjoys archery. And he stuffs that one right in the pocket for a strike, and he is safely on to frame 2.
In the 9th position is Andrew Scott of Kansas City, Missouri. Andrew claimed the championship in Division IV at the 2025 KCO May Point Tournament to secure his spot in the Prodigy TOC.
And look at this, Andrew is another youngster who lists broadcasting as a possible career route for him. Misses the head pin wide right, gets 6, and he is on the bubble with Maddox Page.
The 10th and final qualifier in the Handicap Division wildcard round is Curtis Malum of Liberty, Missouri. Curtis got here by winning the Division III title at the 2025 KCO February Point Tournament.
Figures he will probably go into computer science at some level. That's where his interest lies, although he loves World War II history. He loves throwing balls right there, too. That will net him a strike. And looky here, we've got a tie for low pinfall. That means we've got a roll-off. Maddox Page and Andrew Scott both in with 6. One of them is going to be eliminated here. Maddox Page will be next to go. And he's wide with that one as well. And gets 6 once again. So Andrew Scott needs 7 or better to move on to frame 2. If he gets 6, we will continue with the roll-off. And 5, well, that would be disaster. Gives it the big loft and gets a strike, and that will send Maddox Page to the parking lot with his bowling equipment. He is the first to make an exit here in the Handicap Division wild card round. We move back to the top of the order, switch lanes, and it'll be Emma Wadersky once again. And it's not every day you're happy to see an 8-10. And actually, who knows how happy she's really going to be. An 8 count may or may not get her through. But at least she doesn't have to shoot it. Meanwhile, Andrew Lindsay, who would love to start a little string of strikes like he had the last time we saw him on Prodigy Bowlers Tour at the KCO Invitational in the championship match when he shot that 296. Well, a high hit, and that gets him 8. So Emma Wadersky has company. And the two of them will keep their fingers crossed, hoping somebody lets them off the hook with a 7 count or lower. But I know Kalen Parkhurst isn't thinking about that. He's thinking 9 or better. And there's better. A solid strike? Well, maybe not the most solid strike we've ever seen, but it counts the same as one that's high flush. An X is an X is an X. Andrew Scott shows us what a solid strike looks like, but it doesn't count any more than the one that Kalen got. So Emma and Andrew watching nervously as Curtis Malem gets up. He just wants 9 or a strike. He's not going to be choosy. Oh, he had 8 there for a second, but he celebrates because the 10 went out. He gets 9. He's safely on to frame 3. And we've got another roll-off, this time between Emma Wadersky and Andrew Lindsay. First to go, Emma, who punches the reset button. She will point it up from the right corner of the lane. And swishes him out. And that'll put the pressure on Andrew Lindsay, who now needs a strike to push this roll-off to a second frame. Anything less, and he's done. How about a solid strike? So both of our players laugh at the pressure and say, I got this. All right, Emma Widerski once again. We will continue this until one of them is eliminated. And Emma gets a crossover, trip 6. It's not how, it's how many. And now Andrew Lindsay must match her to continue. Need a little pressure in your life? Oh, he cut it short. And it's a 7 count, and now Andrew Lindsay is eliminated. So we return to the left lane and begin frame 3. Well, Emma goes right through the nose, leaves the 7-10 split. She got through and she left the 8-10, but only because she survived a roll-off. And now, Kaylin Parkhurst next to go. Finds the pocket, leaves the 10, but that's a 9 count, and that's good enough to send him on to frame 4. So now we take another look at Andrew Scott. 9 or a strike will get him through. Eight, and he'll be on the bubble with Emma. Oh, a little light on the head pin, and he just let Emma off the hook. So it's now Andrew Scott who's on the bubble with that 7 count. And now Curtis Malum needs 8 or better to advance to frame 4. And he takes a moment to collect himself. The number to beat is 7. And 10 in the pit will beat it. So Curtis Malum is on to the next frame, and Andrew Scott is done for the day. That 7 count was not enough. So we move to frame 4. Back to the top of the order, and Emma Widerski. Now we're down to just 3 players. Emma with a crossover that takes them all out. You gotta like the feeling when you lead off in a single ball elimination with a strike, knowing at the very worst you're in a roll-off. And how about Kaylin Parkhurst matching Emma with a strike of his own? And Curtis Malum, are you feeling it now? He is in a must-strike situation. Anything less than a strike, And Curtis Malem is done for the day. He's bowled well to get here, but now he needs a strike. But it cuts through the nose and he gets 9. And so Curtis Malem is out. And then there were 2. As we head to the 5th and final frame of this wild card round, it comes down to Emma Wadurski and Kaylin Parkhurst. One of them will take the 5 seed in the stepladder. Emma stuffs one in the pocket. Wow. That was easily her best shot so far. And now Kaylin. Another pressure situation. He must strike. Oh, he puts it in the pocket, but the 10-pin won't go. And so Kaylin is done, and they're all down except one. Emma Wadurski is the sole survivor of the wild card round in the handicap division. We'll find out who she's bowling next. So here's a quick summary of how the Handicap Division wildcard round went down. In frame 1, Maddox Page and Andrew Scott tied for the low pinfall with 6, forcing a roll-off, where Maddox Page came up short, getting 6 once again, while Andrew Scott advanced to frame 2 with a strike. Then in frame 2, we had another roll-off, this time with Emma Wadurski and Andrew Lindsay both getting 8. On their first ball on the roll-off, both players threw a strike, but then on the second roll-off throws, Emma Wadurski threw another strike, while Andrew Lindsay got 7, ending his day. In frame 3, Andrew Scott's 7 count wasn't enough, as that put an end to his quest to keep advancing. That left 3 players, and both Emma Wadurski and Kaylin Parkhurst threw strikes, putting all the pressure on Curtis Malem, who faced a strike or go home challenge, and he came up just short with 9. And then there were 2, and in the final frame of the wild card round, it was Emma Wadurski who threw a strike, meaning Kaylin Parkhurst had to match her to force a roll-off. But it wasn't to be. Kaylin left a 10-pin, and that was that. So Emma Wadurski is the sole survivor of the Handicap Division wildcard round and claims the number 5 position in the stepladder finals. Now, before we can introduce you to the rest of the championship round finalists, we have one small bit of unfinished business to tend to. It seems we had a tie coming out of the qualifying round for 3rd place. So we have a 9th and 10th frame roll-off to determine who's the 3 seed and who's the 4 seed. And now you get to meet these 2 young fellas who will be contesting the roll-off. Logan Crosswhite of Atchison, Kansas, and Draxton Beebe of DeSoto, Kansas. And Logan is going to lead off. Logan buries it in the pocket for a strike to start. Now, the handicap pins they're getting are 20% of their full game handicap. So they're bowling 2 out of 10 frames, so that makes sense. Draxton Beebe. A little overhook action there. Clips off 3. And before you ask, I already inquired, there's no relation to Buffalo Bills special teams guru of the 90s, Don Beebe, who denied Leon Lett of the Super Bowl record points when he played for the Cowboys back in Super Bowl 27. Draxton with an open frame in the 9th. Those are never good. He leaves a little easier spare here in the 10th, the 5-9. But boy, opens are hard to recover from when you're in a 2-frame roll-off. Oh no, back-to-back opens. So Draxton Beebe finishes with 30. Logan just needs 8 pins in 2 balls, and he will take the roll-off. And a strike will do it. So he has won the roll-off. Now the good news for Draxton is he's still in the stepladder finals. He's just going to be the 4 seed instead of the 3 seed. There's the strike by Logan Crosswhite. Logan won his tournament to get into the Prodigy TOC when he defeated Josiah Starr in a 9th and 10th frame roll-off in their championship match. Both players threw all 4 strikes in the roll-off, but Logan got him on handicap. And that was a tough one for Josiah to swallow, let me tell you. With a conversion, Logan will finish with 52. And there you go. So Logan Crosswhite takes the 3 seed. Draxton Beebe will have the 4 seed. And now it's time for you to meet all 5 of our stepladder finalists in the Handicap Division. You've already met our 5 seed, as Emma Wadersky is the sole survivor coming out of the wild card round and takes the number 5 position in the stepladder. As it happens, she also finished the qualifying round in 5th. In our opening match, she'll face our number 4 qualifier, Draxton Beebe. Draxton won the Division 5 title at the 2025 KCO May Point Tournament to get here. The winner of that match will challenge our 3 seed, Logan Crosswhite. As I mentioned earlier, Logan broke Josiah Starr's heart when he captured the Division 3 championship at the 2025 KCO April Point Tournament. The winner of that second match will advance to face our 2 seed, Gavin Neal of Higginsville, Missouri. Gavin took the Division 2 crown in St. Joseph at the 2025 KCO May Point Tournament. And the winner of that match will bowl for the championship in the Handicap Division and the Hunter Moffitt Award against our tournament leader, Jonathan Cooper of St. George, Kansas. Jonathan overcame some tough lane conditions when he won the 2025 KCO April Point Tournament in Leavenworth to earn his spot in the Prodigy TOC. And that's our 5-player stepladder field in the Handicap Division here at the Prodigy TOC. One of these 5 young athletes will bowl the winner of the Scratch Division in the Final Showdown for the winner's share of the Smart Scholarship Money we'll award today, as well as the prize they're all eyeing, the Coveted Trophy Pin. So with that prelude behind us, it's time to get match 1 underway between the 5 seed, Emma Wadersky, and the 4 seed, Draxton Beebe. Draxton, being the higher qualifier, had the option. He is elected to let Emma start the match. And oh my goodness, she has pulled it well to the left. Not only did she miss the head pin, she almost missed the 2 pin. Clipped off 4. She made the 2, 3, 4, 7 off of a full rack. I can't say I've ever seen that before. And what she left is a very difficult spare, and not surprisingly, she doesn't convert it. So an open frame to start. Now, as you can see, Draxton is getting 72 pins of handicap, Emma 39. Draxton, wasting no time, gets up there and tosses it. and leaves the 1-2-4. And he hooks by the 1 pin, so an open frame there for Draxton as well. This young fellow is the brother of Curtis Jones, who we've seen on Prodigy a time or two. He credits his brother Curtis and his stepdad for getting him started in the sport of bowling. Once again, a little wide with that opening toss in frame 2. Leaves the 1-2-8. And he covers the spare. That's a good one. Emma Wadersky, 16 years of age. She was her high school team's Rookie of the Year. Misses the head pin to the left once again. Leaves the 1-3-6. Her high game, a 229. High series, 572. Still looking for her first 600. Covers the spare. She would have liked to have put her first ball in that spot. Little confusion about who's next. Emma still up. And another pull. And once again, having a hard time keeping that ball on line. The 1-3-8-9. This is another very difficult spare. The best bet is to just hit the pocket and hope the ball splits the 8 and 9. But she gets it with a little wider shot than that. A little good luck there, never hurts. And now Draxton Beebe once again up on the right lane. Well, I tell you what, he is not one to take much time on the approach. Looks to me like he is not even looking down at the floor to set his feet. It's one of the first things I teach the really young ones. You got to know where you're standing. You got to look down at the floor and determine which board you're standing on so that you'll know where to throw it. And that's another open frame. The lead is 25. And we're seeing a lot of 1-2 and 1-3 combinations. Here's the 1-2-8-9. Once again, just throw this thing at the head pin and hope to split the 8 and 9 with the ball. No, you're not going to make it throwing it over there. So Draxton struggling. 3 opens in 4 frames. Well, one of the first things you learn when you're first starting out in this sport is spares, spares, spares. The most important part of the game when you're still new at it. Emma threw the nose this time. At least she got a piece of the head pin. Lucky she didn't leave a split, though. Has the 10 pin. She moves to the far left on the approach to go cross lane. And there's a good conversion. So the difference in this match right now, 3 spares in 4 frames for Emma, 3 opens in 4 frames for Draxton. And Emma just barely tips out the 10 pin, or she'd have been looking at some form of the washout, but the 2 pin went down, the 10 pin went down, and she is left with just the 1 pin. This is the 1 single pin spare you probably see less than any other. But it is also probably the easiest of all of them to convert, and she makes short work of it. Come on, Draxton, look down at the floor. Check your feet. Oh, man, that was a pretty good shot. Just a little high. Usually what happens when these young kids are first starting out is they don't know anything about spot bowling. So they don't know to set their feet. They don't know to look at the arrows. They're just aiming at the pins. And he puts the ball right between the 4 and the 9, and that's not how to make the 4-7-9. And now he had a pretty big lead thanks to his handicap, and it's all gone now. So if he's going to win this match, he's going to have to do it all on his own. This match is all even halfway through. Right through the heart of him again, and leaves the 3-6-10. Could have been worse. That could have been a split. Slow down, Draxton. This is not a race. How about a spare? How about a spare? Love it. Draxton, 11 years old. His only tournament win, the KCO in St. Joseph in May. That's Division 5 he's in. And another big pull by Emma. She leaves the 1-3-6. Better swing that time, but wide of the mark. 9 out, and she falls 14 pins behind. That's going to be wide again as well. The 1-2-4-8. Looks to me like she's opening her hips at the top of the swing, and that throws her swing plane off kilter, and she doesn't recover. Maybe we'll get a slow motion replay before this match is over, and I'll be able to show it to you a little better. Uh-oh. Well, that ball went in the gutter and bounced out, so any pins it knocks over are going to have to be reset. Here's the problem with Draxton. The ball is way to the right of his head at the bottom of the swing. You see the big gap between his elbow and his torso. He wants to keep that elbow in close to his body all the way through the swing. Keep his hand behind the ball. He's just getting around it way too soon. And that ball bounces out of the gutter, and now they've got the pins reset, so here's his spare attempt. And that sails wide right, and that is a disastrous frame. Gutter ball on the first ball and just 3 on the second ball. Little wide right again. 7 count. The 1-2-9. Just put the ball on the right side of the head pin You should make this. But you see what happens. He loses his balance when he lets go of it. And he falls to the right as he's throwing it. The ball goes left off his hand. He's just having a rough day here. Bowled well to make the stepladder, but his lack of experience is showing up now. It's all right. He'll learn. He's only 11. Been bowling about a year. There's the best shot of the match so far by Emma Widerski. She finds the pocket, leaves the 10 pin. She made it once before. She can do it again. Oh, but just slid by. So an open frame makes this a close match heading into the 9th and 10th. This is anybody's game. Just 3 pins separating them. There's a good shot. Well, see if we can get a better look at what's going on with Emma's game. You see, she pushes the ball out to the right a little bit, which is a problem because that makes the ball wrap behind her back. And from there, you can't swing it through your right hip, so it's got to go around your body. Now, at the bottom of the swing, it's not in bad position. It's right under her head. It's close to the ankle, but I'd like to see her hand more behind the ball, her fingers below the equator. That's why she doesn't have any revs, no hook. She wants to be a professional bowler. She's going to have to learn some of this stuff. And there's a pretty good shot by Draxton. Came up nicely on the back end. Just didn't have quite enough drive to knock down the 5. They say no drive, no 5. How about a spare? How about a spare? So both players with marks in the 9th frame and just a 3-pin differential. And look at this. Draxton finds the pocket once again in the 10th frame, gets a 9 count. And the way this match is going, if he could make a spare here in the 10th, that might do it. No, but you can't do that. So it's 9 out. And Emma is going to take a 15-pin lead into the 10th frame, working on a strike. And you can read the graphic. She needs 8 pins on this ball to put it away. And there's 9, and that'll do it. So Emma Widerski wins the first match here in the Handicap Division at the Prodigy TOC. She survived the wild card round, and now she has survived the first match of the stepladder. There's a converted 10-pin. So she's going to be in the 180s with any kind of reasonable count here. That's counting her handicap pins, of course, which are added into the score. There's 8. That'll give her 183. A 183 to 170 victory over Draxton Beebe. And Emma Widerski is moving on. Her next opponent, Logan Crosswhite. She'll meet him in match 2. Both players in that first match struggled mightily. Between the two of them, there was only one strike, and Draxton only had 3 spares. Between now and the start of the new season this fall, I'd have to say both Draxton and Emma could benefit from some work on the fundamentals. But in Draxton's case, he's only been bowling about a year, and he's just 11. So he's got plenty of time to get better. And in Emma's case, it's only been a couple of years since she started bowling league, so she's still very much in the early stages of her development as a bowler. And better still, she's moving on to our next match, where she'll now face the number 3 ranked bowler in the Handicap Division today, Logan Crosswhite. Logan says his dream is to one day become a chef. Right now, I think he's just trying to dream up a recipe for enough strikes to get past this match and put him on a path to climbing the stepladder. These two players a little more comparable in age. As I mentioned earlier, Emma is 16, Logan Crosswhite 15. He turns 16 in September. And Logan, being a higher qualifier, had the option, and he has elected to let Emma start the match. So she will begin on the left lane. Emma with a couple of tournament wins. The Caw Valley Invitational and the KCO Invitational. Comes in thin with that one. Broke the 2-4-5 down to just the 2-pin. A decidedly easier spare than the cluster she looked to be facing. And down it goes. All right, Logan Crosswhite. Crosses over. Leaves the 6-10. You see Emma's getting 39 pins of handicap. Logan is getting 21. And Logan slides by the 6-pin, so a chop and an open frame to start. And another player like Emma doesn't hook it a lot, kind of points the ball to the left off his hand, plays it pretty straight. We'll be able to pick it up here. Lays it down on 9, crosses 10 at the arrows, about 12 at the tracers, and that leaves only 5 more boards to hook before it finds the pocket. And Emma crossing over once again, this time getting a good piece of the Brooklyn pocket and caves in the 6-9-10 somehow. She has got to correct that pull, though, off her hand. That's going to plague her. And that all stems from getting that ball stuck behind her back. Once again, it's hard to recover from that position. Now she leaves the 2-4-10. A difficult split. Got to put the ball over on the left side of the 2-pin, slide the 2 into the 10. The ball will get the 4. She goes boldly for it, but misses the 2-pin. That's 8 out and an open frame. So Logan Crosswhite trailing by 15, but he has a strike up. There's a pretty smooth release, but he doesn't quite get the wall shot to do all the work. The head pin went to the wall, took out the 4 and 5, but it missed the 7. But he shouldn't have any problem with this. And he covers the 7. Well, if I had to pick out one thing about Logan's game that I would encourage him to work on, it might be how he stands up at the foul line. He doesn't stay down through the shot. Watch this. He pulls up every time. Yikes. And sometimes when you pull up like that, it causes a pull. Makes you pull the ball a little left of your target, and that's what happened that time. And he leaves the big daddy of all the splits, the 7-10. Just takes the 1. It's about all you can do with it. So Emma with a 28-pin lead up on the right lane. Better shot. Finds the pocket, just doesn't have the drive. I talked about rev rate when we showed you that shot of her hand as she releases the ball, her fingers above the equator. If she could get her fingers below the equator, her hand more behind the ball, she'd have a better rev rate. That ball would tend to drive through and carry out the 5-pin. But as it is, she depends on a solid pocket hit for it to drive through. With the modern ball, you should be able to carry off hits. That one's right through the nose. She's lucky she didn't leave a split. The 6-10 could have had company over on the other side like a 7-pin. But this, far more manageable. Oh, look out. Once again, when that ball gets behind your back, wraps behind the back, you can't swing it through your right hip and leg, so that ball's got to go around your body, and that's what happened there. She misses to the right. Logan. Thin. Leaves the 2-7-8. As baby splits go, this is not the hardest one, but that 8-pin does add a level of complexity. You want to hit solid on the 2-pin, a little to the right side, drive the 2 into the 7, but he gets a little too much of the 2-pin. He needed to be a little farther to the right with the ball. So there's another open frame, and, well, these two players exchanging a lot of open frames. Logan with 3 so far, and Emma with a couple. Better. Much better. Had to like that one. It was smooth coming off his hand. Now watch how he stands up when he lets it go. He doesn't stay down with the shot. You want to get that deep knee bend and stay down with the ball. Post that shot. Pulled it again. Right through the nose. This time she pays the price, leaving a split, the 3-7. It's makeable. Put the ball right there on the right side of the 3-pin. Drive that 3 over into the 7. She gets the wrong side of the 3-pin. and I would not have recommended playing it down the right side of the lane like she played it. You know, when she was on the show once before, I talked about how she's laying the ball down out on the outside portion of the lane where the lane is dry. It's going to want to hook right away when you lay it down out there. She needs to move left and play the ball out to the right just a little bit, out to the dry part of the lane. This is the house shot we're bowling on. Now, they are bowling on fresh oil, so it's not going to hook that much, but you get a little better ball reaction if you play it in the oil. Now she slides by the 10-pin. Can't be doing that. Now her 14-pin lead shrinks to 3, and Logan has a strike working. With a double, he could have taken the lead, but as it is, he breaks down a tricky cluster, the 2-4-5, and has just the 5-pin remaining. He should be able to take care of this. And I would say the same thing to Logan that I would say to Emma about laying the ball down outside on the drier part of the lane. You want to move left with your feet so that you're laying the ball down in the oilier part of the lane. And if you have to swing it out to the right to find some friction, then that's great. That's a better shot. That's as good a shot as you're going to see. Watch this one. I think he's going to lay this down a little farther to the left. That one hits about 7 or 8 at the arrows, and you see it was right of the far right tracer at the break point, so it found friction and hooked right in there into the pocket. Similarly, Emma, playing out there, got that ball out a little farther to the right as well, but isn't able to create the entry angle because of the lack of revs, and just doesn't really hook the ball much at all. And pulls it left into the gutter, so her 3-pin lead evaporates, and now she trails by 8, heading into the 9th and 10th frames. Here at the top of the swing, not in terrible position, but then at the bottom of the swing, you see her hips have opened and her hand is on top of the ball. She's not going to get any hook or any good ball reaction that way. Got to have your hand behind the ball. Got to have your fingers below the equator. There it is again. It's okay. She's only been at it a couple of years. You see that ball hits the pocket, but there's no drive. No drive, no 5. But she can make this. She needs to make it. No, you can't be running by a 5-pin. Now, all of a sudden, she trails by 19 with just 1 frame left. This was costly. See how she pushes the ball out to the right, so it wraps behind her back. It's behind her right hip and leg. So there's no place for the ball to go other than it either has to go out to the right or bounce out to the right side, and she pulls it through from the right to the left or out to in, coming down. That's what happens here, and she pulls it left. I'm pretty sure her right shoulder probably passed her left shoulder as well. That's usually what happens when you pull it down from the top. That's a pretty good shot by Logan. Finds the pocket, but he also without the rev rate to really drive that 5-pin over into the 7. But he leaves an easy spare. And with a 19-pin lead, if he can spare here. And there is a spare. That'll make it pretty difficult for Emma the rest of the way. She can strike out in the 10th for 177. If Logan gets 9 and then opens, he would end up shooting 174. And Emma could win. So Logan is going to need a mark to shut her out. All right, there's 9. But as I mentioned, if he misses this, he'll end up with 174. He must spare and then get 3 on the fill ball to put it away. There's the spare he needed. And I would think the 3 shouldn't be a problem here. Mark it down as a win for Logan Crosswhite. That's a 184. The best Emma can do is 177. But she had a good day. Got into the wild card as the 5th qualifier. And then she came through the wild card round as the sole survivor. Won a stepladder match. So it's going to be a 4th place finish for Emma Widerski. Not bad for her first time at the Prodigy TOC. Even with an open in the 10th frame for a 155, not the game she hoped to bowl, but 4th is not nothing, as I like to say. But it's Logan Crosswhite who's moving on to match 3, where he will face a formidable opponent in Gavin Neal. Well, match 2 is now in the books here in the Handicap Division at the Prodigy TOC, and Logan Crosswhite got the best of Emma Widerski. If there's ever been a match that stands as a testimony to the importance of making your spares, that last match surely does. Emma had 7 open frames, and she knows as well as anybody that's no way to succeed in bowling. She even missed 3 single-pin spares in a row. Those alone could have swung the match the other way. So the lesson here is work on your spares. The strikes will come. But for now, it's Logan Crosswhite who's moving on to match 3, where he'll now face our number 2 qualifier, Gavin Neal. Gavin is 16, and he's been bowling since he was 10. Logan is 15, and he started bowling leagues when he was 6. One of the interesting things about the Prodigy TOC is that we take the kids from all the different divisions at the KCO, and if they're in a handicap division, we pop them all into one division. We've had Division 5, 4, 3, and now 2 represented on the show today. Logan is a Division 3 player. Emma was Division 4. Draxton Beebe was Division 5. And Gavin Neal, who you're about to see, a Division 2 player. And Logan tosses that one in the gutter. Of course, all the Division 1s will be in the scratch division here at the Prodigy TOC in the second half of the show today. But now we get our first look at Gavin Neal, who won in the periphery, as did some of these other kids, so you may not recognize their names. Some of them have been on Prodigy before. This is Gavin's first appearance. But as you're about to find out, this kid can bowl. He's Division II, so he's not quite a 200 average yet. But I have a feeling it won't be long. Nice, compact, two-handed swing. Kind of reminiscent of a certain player I know you are familiar with in Caden White, who also has a very compact two-handed swing. Gavin Neal's high game a 290, his high series 811. Hello. But the problem with the more advanced game is that until you get it under complete control, sometimes you end up with a wild one like this. He throws all that ball, but sometimes he doesn't know where it's going. And he gets 6 out. That's no good. Want to at least get 2 of them. Save the count. Well, Logan's getting 21 pins in handicap. Gavin's getting 7. We add those pins into their score in the very first frame. There's one high flush. I haven't been able to make that call very often today thus far. But Logan puts that one right in the 1-3. Watch it again. Playing that outside line. And if you hit them there, they're probably going to go down. Can he put a double on the board? Yes, he can. So Logan extends his lead to 31 pins with an early double. Watch this. Over about 5 at the arrows, maybe 6 or so at the break point, and it takes the break quite nicely on the back end. Thank you very much. That'll get Gavin's attention. That looked like it was crowding the head pin a little bit, but that's 10 back. This kid says he wants to be a pro bowler someday. And who am I to discourage them? If that's the dream, then I say chase it. He says his favorite pro bowler is Anthony Simonson. He's won the KCO that got him into the Prodigy TOC today, and also a Stars of the Lanes title. And there's another strike, so he answers Logan's double with one of his own. Here's his footwork, 5-step approach. Nice straight approach. He's a planter, not a slider. See where his fingers are at the bottom of the ball? And he comes straight up through it. Doesn't go around it, but you see that ball does hook. These bowling balls are built to hook. You don't have to do that much to them. Just roll them. That one creeped just a little bit high. Maybe time for Logan to move left aboard. It's the 4-pin. Well, Logan Crosswhite says he wants to be a chef when he grows up. He is one of 2 players we have in our field today in the Handicap Division that wants to be a chef when he grows up. The other one is our tournament leader, Jonathan Cooper. $20 pins separating these two. There's a good shot right there. Logan Crosswhite finds the pocket. Now he's going to swing this ball away from his body, and then he reroutes it at the top, drops it on the inside. I don't love that, but he makes it work, and you know what? He does it pretty much the same every time. And ultimately, in this sport, repeatability is what you're going for. It may be unconventional, but if you can repeat it, I say go with it. Boy, that's a solid shot right there. Gavin Neal looks like he has figured out this pair. That's 4 strikes in 5 frames. Let's compare these two. Very, very different games. Logan, a one-hander on the left. Gavin, a two-hander on the right. Here they are synced up at the release. Gavin in perfect balance. Boy, he really posts the shot almost every time in excellent balance. And watch how steady his head is as the ball comes off his hand. Well, that one got away from him. That's what's holding him back right now. He's got the game to be a 200 average bowler. But he just lacks the consistency. I don't know how much he gets to practice. Sometimes you see these kids that are very naturally gifted. They've got some talent, but they just don't get to practice much. And some wild ones like that come off their hands. And Logan's lead increases to 28 thanks to 2 errant shots by Gavin Neal. Oh! Well, there was nothing wrong with that one, and I think Logan is questioning some of his life choices up to this point. I don't know that I would have done anything differently, Logan. I might have had a few choice words after throwing that ball, though, when I saw the result. Oh, but that's not good. He actually touched that 7-pin. But you cannot let an unfortunate break on the first ball affect your execution on the second ball. You could tell that he was taken aback by the results of the strike ball that wasn't a strike, but you got to shake it off and just make the next shot. In the pocket, but a little flat, didn't have the entry angle. So the 10 remains. What is this? What is this? Can't be doing that. Back-to-back single pin spare misses by Logan Crosswhite. And all of a sudden, he has let Gavin Neal right back in it. And now Gavin Neal would like to bounce back from that last open of his own. And he rips the rack. Wow. That's the best shot we've seen today. Watch this. This will hit the half pocket. Now watch the 5-pin, the one behind the head pin. It goes over and just saws out the 7. That is nothing but power. All right, Gavin Neal, a strike here in the 8th frame, and he can take the lead for the first time in the match. There it is. So game on between these two. Love the nice tight swing, elbow in close to his body. There's just not a lot to go wrong with this guy's game. except the part we can't see, and that's the part between the ears. There's a good strike by Logan. So all of a sudden, things start to heat up between these two. Right in the nick of time as we get down to the 9th and 10th frames. See how Logan kind of falls off to the right a little bit when he lets it go. He falls off to the right and stands up on almost every shot. That's because he's a little out of balance. At the release, you see how he pulls up. But he gets away with it that time, gets the strike. And now with that strike, he takes the lead right back from Gavin. And all of a sudden, this match has gotten very interesting. This a better swing by Logan. He liked it. All right, Gavin, with a double up, he can take the lead right back with a strike in the 9th. And he rips him apart again. So now the situation is this: if both players strike out from here, Gavin will win the match. Gavin needs a double and 6 in the 10th to shut out Logan Crosswhite. Anything less than a strike on this ball, and Logan can still get up and win the match. Well, and when you're under the gun, the pressure gets turned up. Your worst tendencies are usually what come to the fore. And Gavin Neal, who is prone to the occasional wild shot, unfortunately, they sometimes show up at the worst possible moments. But he hasn't lost. He still has the lead. He needs to cover this spare. The 1-2 is pretty routine. He needs to make it. All right. And now he needs to get 7 to force Logan to get the first strike in the 10th. If he gets 6, he would finish with 205, and Logan could go 9 spare strike and tie. So he wants to get 7. There you go. All 10 is even better. So a 209. Here's another one of these power strikes in the half pocket where the 5-pin goes over and causes trouble on the left side of the rack. I think that was the head pin that came off the wall. It did a little damage. All right, Logan must strike on this ball. Just doesn't have the drive or the rev rate that a player like Gavin Neal has. So he's going to come up short. But a good showing. It's going to be a third-place finish in the Handicap Division at the Prodigy TOC for Logan Crosswhite, who finishes with a 192. That's nothing to sneeze at. The two players exchange a handshake, and now Gavin Neal is 1 game away from owning the Hunter Moffitt Award. But first, he's got to get past Jonathan Cooper. Logan Crosswhite certainly had an eventful day. First, he survived a roll-off to grab the number 3 position in the stepladder, and then he defeated Emma Wadersky in match 2 to advance to the Handicap Division semifinal match. And there he had a chance to win, but needed a strike in the 10th, and that's where his ride came to an end. Gavin Neal, meanwhile, threw 8 strikes en route to a 209, putting the pressure squarely on Logan Crosswhite. So now it's Gavin Neal who has advanced to the Handicap Division championship match, where he'll face our top seed, Jonathan Cooper. One of these 2 young men will claim the Hunter Moffitt Award as the champion in the Handicap Division, and will meet the winner of the Scratch Division in the Final Showdown for the Coveted Trophy Pin. Of course, the Hunter Moffitt Award, which goes to the winner of the Handicap Division at the Prodigy TOC, named for Hunter Moffitt, the winningest player in the history of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. And still a youth bowler in Georgia, one of the best in the state. Jonathan Cooper to lead off. And that one finds the nose. As you can see, Jonathan getting 33 pins in handicap, Gavin 7. Jonathan, a Division 4 player at the KCO, Gavin, a Division 2 player. So a fairly big discrepancy in their averages. But that's why we have handicap. Both players 16 years of age. Gavin about 6 months older. Love his balance at the foul line. Although I still think the best thing about his game is how compact his swing is. You watch Belmo, and he keeps that ball so close to his body throughout his swing. I mean, if you're going to model a two-hander, he's the one. Solid strike to begin. Well, another wild one. If he can ever learn to eliminate those, he'll be dangerous. Sent that one into the weeds, and now he's got the washout, the 1-2-10. Here's how you make it. Put the ball on the left side of the head pin, drive it into the 10. He's going with a backup. Well, another player with a backup ball in his bag of tricks. Seeing that more and more these days. And I really think it's a great idea. If you've got the opportunity to practice it, it is a wonderful tool to have. Oh, man. Jonathan sent that one way out wide. It started hooking a little early, but kind of overhooked. Nearly had the 4-9, but he's left with just the 4-pin. And just barely ticks the 4-pin, but gets it. Jonathan started bowling at 14 and then kind of got tired of it, gave it up for a while, and then got back into it.
I think this time he's committed. Starting to have some success. That's usually what a player needs to see to stick with something. Well, he didn't get that one quite as wide, so it didn't have the friction to play off of. And it just kind of deflected when it hit the pocket. A lot of oil in the middle of the lane. Remember, the TV pair was fresh oil when the wild card round began. There hasn't been that much play on it. Good spare. And Jonathan maintains his 36-pin lead. I am taken by the fact that Gavin Neal has an 8-11 to his credit. That tells me that he can go through games where he doesn't have those wild shots. Nothing wild about that one. That was just a solid 10. Watch this, the 6-pin, the second one from the right. It's going to wrap around the 10, just fly around the neck of the 10. That's what we call the ring 10. And he covers it easily. I have a feeling we might see more of this guy in the upcoming season this fall at the KCO. If he picks up a few pins on his average and moves into Division I, he'll get pushed a little bit by those Division I players, and some of those wild shots might suddenly disappear when he buckles down. Thin hit, but look out, wall shot. Gotta love that one. Watch it again. Oh, we're about 17 at the arrows, out to about 9, and head pin goes to the left wall and wreaks havoc. Whoa, look out. Well, that thing was flirting with the moat. Watch this. Well, you see what's going on. The ball is well inside of his head, left of his head. Nothing wrong with that, but you see where his foot is pointed, and his hips are oriented in that direction as well. And when everything is oriented that far to the right, you're going to throw it to the right. And he almost puts that in the gutter. That's on about the 2 board at the 34-foot mark. Not a lot of oil out there, so it is going to hook if you have any axis rotation at all, which he does. But easy spare. 5-pin goes down. No muss, no fuss. So Jonathan Cooper probably thinking, too bad this isn't a 9-pin no tap. He'd be perfect through 4. Yeah, and it's too bad I wasn't born rich. There's one right in the hole. So Jonathan Cooper clean through the first half of the game. And when you're a handicap bowler, that is half the battle right there. Just stay clean. Boy, he just poured that one into the pocket, didn't he? All right, Gavin, no more wild ones. You're going to have to get serious here the rest of the way. Oh, my goodness. I wouldn't have thought that was possible, the way Gavin throws it, but It hits flat. It even had pretty good entry angle. But the 5-7 just must have not quite caught it off his hand when he let it go. Move your feet about 3 boards left, throw it over your strike target, and you ought to be in the ballpark of making the 5-7. This will be close. Oh, close, but no cigar. So an open frame, and that widens Jonathan's lead to 47 pins. And Gavin's thinking, well, that's not helpful. But there's still plenty of frames left. He can make a game of this. He just needs to string some strikes. Hope that maybe Jonathan will give him a gift or two along the way. Well, he just missed right again. I can't explain that. The 1-2-4. Sounded like somebody stepped on a cat. I don't know what that sound was, but all right. I don't think there's any cats in the bowling center. Alley cats, maybe. All right, Jonathan on a strike. Pulled it. He was falling off to the right, out of balance. He gets bent forward so much that it's almost impossible for him to stay in balance when he lets it go. And if he gets bent too far to the right as well, if he's falling to the right while he's letting go of the ball, chances are he's going to throw it left. If he'll keep his shoulders back, keep his base under him, he'll be in better balance. That was a little bit better. You saw he was in good balance when he let it go. That's what you're looking for. You don't want to be fighting with your balance as the ball comes off your hand. Anytime you lose balance, you also lose leverage. And you need all the leverage you can get at the moment of truth. But he's in the driver's seat. And puts another one knee deep into the pocket where those pins have no chance. And if he keeps this up, Gavin Neal's going to have no chance. It looked like he might have pulled this one a little bit, but he's right in that area where there's a lot of oil in the middle of the lane. It's not going to overreact. And it's set in the pocket perfectly. All right, Gavin, it's time to go to the whip. Just a pinch high. Could have been the 4-9, but at least the 4 went out. Conversion here. And then if he takes it off the sheet, he shoots 212. Jonathan is going at a 230 clip. So Gavin's got to strike out and hope for some divine intervention. It could happen. Throw enough of them like that, you never know. You cannot give up in this sport. You just never know what your opponent is going to do. I have seen some crazy things happen in this sport. Well, Jonathan creeping just a little bit high. That was almost a 4-9. That could have been just what the doctor ordered. Dr. Neal, that is. But Jonathan leaves a very makeable 4-pin. Carefully setting his feet. This is what I was talking about earlier with Draxton Beebe. He will learn to do that. But look at this. Just the kind of mistake that Jonathan was hoping to avoid. Gavin might need another mistake like that out of Jonathan to have any realistic chance, but that certainly changes things a little bit. Now, Jonathan is going at a 2:18 pace. Gavin can strike out for 2:12, so you never know. You might get some short count along the way on Jonathan's game. He doesn't like it. There's some short count right there. You're not working on a spare, but the 2-4-5 is no gimme. So I think Jonathan probably needs to pay close attention here. And Gavin Neal, I wouldn't be taking my bowling balls out to the car just yet. All right, there's a conversion. So if Gavin strikes in the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and let's just say the 12th as well, he'll shoot 212. That would force Jonathan Cooper to show up in the 10th and mark and get decent count. Well, there's a strike. That's what he needed. Boy, if he just could have gotten started on this string a little sooner. Just rip the rack. All right, got to have this one. Really has virtually no chance if he doesn't strike here in the 10th. Another one that just got away from him a little to the right. So a spare and a strike on his fill will give him 189. Not anymore, it won't. Jonathan Cooper has just won the Hunter Moffitt Award. I was going to say, if Gavin had made that spare and then struck on the fill ball, Jonathan Cooper would have just needed 2 pins. So I think the outcome was pretty much a foregone conclusion. But Jonathan Cooper can take a victory lap as he starts stressing about what's going to happen next. Won't matter about this one. He's already got this title in the Handicap Division, at least, banked. He is one of your finalists in the Final Showdown between the Handicap Division winner and the Scratch Division winner. It's a 205 to 175 victory for Jonathan Cooper, who claims the Hunter Moffitt Award, and now he sits and waits while we decide who's going to meet him from the Scratch Division. Coming up.
So the Hunter Moffitt Award for winning the Handicap Division at the Prodigy TOC goes to Jonathan Cooper, who decisively defeated Gavin Neal in the championship match, 205 to 175. Gavin had a chance to make a game of it at the end, but just couldn't close strongly enough to put any pressure on Jonathan. So that means Jonathan Cooper has claimed one of the 2 spots in the Final Showdown, where he'll face the winner of the Scratch Division for the winner's share of the Smart Scholarship prize money and for the right to leave today with the Coveted Trophy Pin. But before we turn our attention to the Scratch Division, let's take one final look at the entire Handicap Division, all 24 contestants, to see where they all finished. These are the final standings all through the division. For our top 5, it includes how they finished after their head-to-head stepladder matches. For players 6 through 10, it includes where they finished in the wild card round. And of course, for players 11 through 24, this includes the 3 games they bowled in the qualifying round. Congratulations to all of them. They're all champions this season at the Kansas City Open. That's how they got here. But right now, it's time we turn our attention to the Scratch Division. We have no ties to break, so we can join players 5 through 10. Remember, the sole survivor coming out of the wild card round will claim the 5th spot in the stepladder finals. They'll bowl in the order they finished the qualifying round, starting with our player who finished in the 5th position.
And that player in the 5th position who will be leading off is Jesse Holtkamp. Jesse won the Division I championship at the 2024 KCO November Point Tournament in Lawrence, Kansas, to secure his position in the Prodigy TOC today.
And on that day in November, when Jesse won, we learned that he's a good friend of one of Prodigy's earliest superstars, Hunter Moffitt. And he begins the wild card round with a good shot, a 9 count.
Qualifying 6th is Zion Dawson. Zion got into the Prodigy TOC by winning the Division IV title at the February KCO and has since climbed all the way back up to the Scratch Division, finishing the season with an average of 200.
Crazy, he started the season in Division I, didn't bowl very well, got rated all the way down to Division IV, and has climbed his way back up. 200 plus average, that means he's Scratch. And he starts the wild card round with a solid strike.
Qualifying in the 7th spot is Dylan Pollard, the Dill Pickle. Dylan is one of the 4 players who gained entry into our field today by finishing in the top 10 on the KCO's season-ending point list in Division I.
Dylan, one of those young players that we have high hopes for in upcoming seasons. Oh, but he sends that one wide and only gets 7 out of it.
Qualifying 8th is Rhett Lyman. Rhett captured the Division I title at the KCO Invitational in early June and is the defending champion at the Prodigy TOC. He is attempting to become the first player ever to win a 2nd Coveted Trophy Pin.
When he decided that he wasn't going to bowl in college, seems like his heart just wasn't into bowling this year, but then he buckled down and won the Invitational. Comes in thin with that hit. It's good for 8, which is enough to get him onto the next frame.
Qualifying in the number 9 spot is Colton Swift. Colton and his older brother won the Division I championship at the 2024 KCO December Adult Youth Doubles Tournament to get Colton into the field today.
He'd love to make this one of his better showings of the year. If he can get past the wild card round, I think he'll be very happy. Big time strike. So he is safely on to frame 2.
Qualifying 10th and bowling in the final spot in the wild card round is Tyler Haig. Tyler won his way into the Prodigy TOC by capturing the Division I title at the 2025 KCO April Point Tournament.
That was a big day for Tyler. Not only did he win, but he also shot 300. Ringing 10. Doesn't love the 9 count, but it's good enough to send him on to frame 2, and so we have to say goodbye to Dylan Pollard, who is the first to exit the single ball elimination wild card round today in the scratch division. So Dylan is out as we switch lanes, and now we move on to frame 2. Back to the top of the order, Jesse Holtkamp. Little thin with that one. Sure, he's glad he doesn't have to shoot the 210. Even happier that the 8 went out and he doesn't have to shoot the 2-8-10, but bottom line is he got 8, and that's no guarantee to get him past frame 2. So now Zion Dawson would like to do better than 8. Well, he gets better than 8 as the 10 goes out, and he gets 9. So Jesse Holtkamp on the bubble at the moment. Remember, you don't have to have the high pinfall to advance to the next frame. You just have to avoid having the low pinfall. And now Rhett Ryman trying to take on a difficult task. Come through the wild card round to repeat as champion. And he might just do it if he throws enough of those. And now Colton Swift. He had a nice showing in October in Gladstone and then won the adult youth doubles in December. Oh, but not with shots like that. He knows he's in trouble with that one. A 6 count lets Jesse Holtkamp off the hook. And now Tyler Haig just needs to beat 6 to advance to frame 3. And he makes it look easy. So, Colton Swift, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, my friend, but your day is done. Colton Swift is eliminated from the wild card round. And so we've knocked 2 from the field. 4 remain. On to frame 3, Jesse Holtkamp. Ooh, a light hit and just 7 this time. That could be trouble. So Zion Dawson punches the reset button to set a fresh rack of pins. He's thinking, just give me 8. 8 or better. Oh, but he pulled it right through the nose. Lucky he didn't leave the big 4. But the 4, 6, 10 gives him a 7 count. And now Jesse Holtkamp has company on the bubble. So now Rhett Ryman will try to take dead aim and get at least 8. That's at least 8 and then some. So Rhett is safely on to frame 4. And now Jesse and Zion look anxiously upon Tyler Haig, who has to reset the rack because the 6-pin fell over. All right. They're falling even before you throw the ball. Yikes. Oh, goodness gracious. The 8-10, but good news, he doesn't have to shoot it, and it's enough to send him on to frame 4. So we have a roll-off now here in the 3rd frame between Jesse Holtkamp and Zion Dawson. Both players will throw a shot in an attempt to break the tie. If they remain tied, we rinse and repeat until the tie is broken. We will eliminate one of these 2 young fellows. There's a solid strike, and that'll put all the pressure on Zion. So now he must strike here or face elimination. How's that for a pressure shot? So they both strike. We're still tied. They do it again. And we will continue this way until we finally break the tie. Jesse with another strike. So that keeps the heat on Zion. Once again, he needs to strike to force this roll-off to continue. Anything less, and Jesse will be moving on to frame 4, and Zion will be moving on to the parking lot. No, the wall shot doesn't quite go. He gets 9 and a wiggle, but the 7 remains. And it's Zion Dawson who is eliminated in frame 3. So the field is now down to just 3 players, Jesse, Rhett, and Tyler, as we head to frame 4.
And Jesse sets the tone with a strike. And as the field shrinks, the pinfall required usually tends to go up. So, who knows? You might need a strike just to continue. Wouldn't surprise me with these three. There's another strike. So, Tyler, I hope you ate your Wheaties this morning. Nothing but strikes on the board. Tyler must match or be eliminated. And there's another strike. So once again, we have a roll-off. This time, all three remaining players are in it. How about that? I'm not so sure Jesse loved that one off his hand, but I know he loves the result. It is a strike to keep the pressure on Rhett and Tyler. And Rhett Ryman gets a light shaker. And we got nothing but strikes here in the fourth frame. All three players struck on their first ball in the frame, and now that we're in a roll-off situation, Jesse and Rhett have continued to strike. Can Tyler match? You bet he can. Wow, this is impressive. So the roll-off continues. Who will be the first to crack? Pretty good hit. May have been a little wide with the trajectory. Ball may have used up a little too much of its energy. By the time it hit the pocket, there wasn't a lot left. Jesse leaves a weak 10, so that's a 9 count. The question is, will it cost him? Now Rhett. Oh my, oh my goodness. Stone 9. Ouch. Like a punch to the gut. So what that tells us is we know that Jesse and Rhett will throw at least one more ball. Maybe more. And Tyler puts one right in the hole, and his strike means he's safe and on to frame 5. So only Jesse and Rhett remain in the roll-off. The 9 count did not hurt them. There's a solid strike for Jesse. You like a little pressure bowling in your life? This is fun to watch. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty impressive when you see these teenagers step up and perform in the clutch like this. As a coach, I love putting these kids in pressure situations. That's the thing about this format that just absolutely enthralls me.
Now Rhett must strike. And he gets the 10 to go. It was already falling when the messenger arrived. Goodness gracious. So we have already thrown 4 balls in this frame. Each player, Jesse and Rhett anyway. Now Jesse with another strike. Wow. So Rhett Ryman, once again, in a must-strike situation. A strike to extend the roll-off. Anything less, and his day is done. Oh, God. Well, you can't throw it much better. A ringing 10. And that's the end of Rhett Ryman's bid to repeat as the Prodigy TOC champion. And we move to the 5th and final frame of the wild card round. And it's down to the 5th qualifier and the 10th qualifier. Jesse Holtkamp and Tyler Haig. Who will be the sole survivor? Jesse keeps his string going. Another strike. So now Tyler in a must-strike situation to force a roll-off. Anything less, and he is eliminated. Oh, man, what a way to go out. Tyler with a 9 count. It's a stone 9. And Jesse Holtkamp is the sole survivor of the wild card round in the scratch division. And so, my friends, we move to the stepladder finals in the scratch division. We'll meet the players next. Before we introduce you to our 5 finalists in the scratch division stepladder, here's a quick recap of the wild card round. In the opening frame, Dylan Pollard was the first to exit with a 7 count. In frame 2, Colton Swift put one through the nose for 6, spelling the end to his day. Then in frame 3, both Jesse Holtkamp and Zion Dawson got 7, sending them to a roll-off, where both players threw a strike on their first ball in sudden death. But then Jesse followed that with a second strike, while Zion Dawson only got 9, putting an end to his bid. Then in the 4th frame, all 3 remaining players, Jesse Holtkamp, Rhett Ryman, and Tyler Haig, threw strikes, forcing a roll-off with all 3. On the first sudden death ball, they all threw a strike. Then on the second roll-off ball, Jesse and Rhett each got 9, while Tyler struck, meaning he was on to the 5th frame. Then on the third roll-off ball, Jesse and Rhett exchanged strikes once again. And on the 4th ball in the roll-off, Jesse threw another strike, while Rhett Ryman was stopped cold with a ringing 10, putting an end to his attempt to repeat as Prodigy TOC champion. That set up the 5th and final frame of the wild card round, where Jesse Holtkamp once again tossed a strike, meaning Tyler Haig needed a strike of his own to force another roll-off, but instead was met with a stone 9 to hand the wild card round to Jesse. So Jesse Holtkamp is the sole survivor in the scratch division wild card round. Interestingly, that means both of our division's number 5 qualifiers survived their respective wildcard rounds. So now it's time you meet the 5 finalists in the Prodigy TOC Scratch division.
Bowling in the first match and holding down the 5th spot in the stepladder is Jesse Holtkamp. He secured his spot at the Prodigy TOC with a win in Lawrence at the November point tournament. He'll face the number 4 qualifier, Micah Page, making his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Micah is one of the 4 players who secured his spot in the field today by finishing the season in the top 10 on the KCO's Division I point list. The winner of that opening match will face the number 3 qualifier, Landon Ziegenhurt. Landon won his way into the Prodigy TOC field when he captured the Division I title at the 2025 KCO March Point Tournament. That winner will advance to challenge our 2 seed, Eli Clinklin. Eli is another one of the players who received an invitation into the field by finishing the season in the top 10 of the KCO's Division I point list. And the winner of that semifinal match will bowl for the Scratch Division Championship against the division leader, and surprise, surprise, it's our freshly named Player of the Year, Caden White. Caden is the only 2-time winner this season in Division I at the KCO, capturing the February point tournament in Leavenworth and winning with his backup ball in St. Joseph at the May point tournament. One of these 5 gifted players will claim the Charles Bostic Award and will advance to the Final Showdown, where they'll face the Handicap Division winner, Jonathan Cooper, for the winner's share of the Smart Scholarship prize money and the prize given to the Prodigy TOC Champion, the Coveted Trophy Pin. So without further ado, let's get match 1 in the Scratch Division started. Again, it's the 5 seed who survived that thrilling wildcard round, Jesse Holtkamp, against the 4 seed, Micah Page. Micah, the only player left in our field today that you have not seen before on Prodigy. He's making his first appearance. Pulled that one a little bit, cut through the nose, breaks up the 310 baby split, and leaves just the 3. Micah is 16 years old. Been bowling for about 2 years. And as you will see as this match goes along, he has gained quite a bit of skill at this sport in those 2 short years. All right, Jesse Holtkamp. Right through the pocket. Jesse coming off that thrilling wild card round where he was tested numerous times. Sends that ball out to about the 5th board, and it just comes charging through the pocket. Jesse, 18. He's aging out of youth bowling this summer. This is the last we'll see of him unless he comes back and bowls as an adult in one of the adult youth doubles tournaments. Light shaker. He's got all the shots. One of the shortest players we have at the KCO, who's, 16, 17, 18 years old. We've got shorter ones, but they're like 6, 7, 8 years old. And there's Micah Page delivering a resounding strike of his own. This young fellow, his high game is 297. There's the ball at the bottom of his swing. Just a little left of his head. That's excellent position right next to his ankle. Hand at the bottom of the ball, behind the ball. Ideal. Can't do it much better than that.
think, if anything, it's a mystery why we haven't seen him on Prodigy until today. Boom. Take a look at Micah's footwork. 5-step approach. Nice straight approach. He's a planter, not a slider. And very effective. And there's another light hit. It turns into 10 in the pit. When we first met Jesse back in November, we learned that he is one of Hunter Moffitt's best friends. Before Jesse moved from the Southeast, where he would often bowl in the GYBT tournaments throughout Georgia, he and Hunter would room together at Junior Gold. And he is perfect through the first 4 frames of this match. We'll take a look at Jesse's footwork. Slight drift to the left. He's a slider, not a planter. And he snaps out that 10 pin. Gotta love it. Oh, that did not look like that bad of a shot. But speaking of snapping, that snapped hard at the end. Broke up the split, leaves just the 6 pin. And Micah takes care of it. Micah says his favorite pro bowler is Darren Tang. And when we asked him how he got started bowling, he said he watched a bunch of YouTube videos. That's what got him interested. Not sure if he was watching Prodigy Bowlers Tour or not, but he might have been. And man, he looks like he's got this pair wired. Another quality shot. Watch it, but he almost left a solid 6. If you can imagine that on a right-hander's pocket hit. Watch the 6 pin just kind of almost get paralyzed. Uh-oh. Jesse let that one get away. And he's left with the washout, the 1, 2, 4, 10. Put the ball on the left side of the head pin like a Brooklyn hit. Drive the head pin over into the 10. The ball will get the 2 and the 4. And he makes a pretty good pass at it, but gets a little too much of the head pin. So that's an open frame, and all of a sudden, we've got a 5-pin match. Well, Jesse got started bowling because his father bowls. He got started when he was 2 years old and was in his first league at the age of 4. Good strike there. Boy, I did not like the way that 3-pin was setting. Look at the 3-pin. It looks like it's a little off spot to the left, giving a narrow pocket. I think I might have punched that one off and asked for a re-rack. Micah answers with a strike of his own. Takes the lead by 5. This guy is very impressive, I have to say. Perfect balance. His head is just as steady as can be through the release. There is a lot to like about Micah Page's game. Could have been another one there, but instead it's a ringing 10. And that keeps the match close. Covers the 10. Well, I think whoever's going to win this match, they're going to have to earn it. I don't see either one of these players giving it away. Jesse, 5 strikes in 6 frames. Gets another light shaker to go. And in so doing, takes the lead right back. Perfect balance at release. When you get into the Division I, the scratch division players, you're going to see a lot better balance and just better fundamentals overall. And even the errant shots tend to work out a little better. Jesse missed a little wide right of where he intended that one, but it catches the dry part of the lane a little sooner. Starts hooking back. Look at this ball. That gets out to about the 3rd board, maybe the 4th board. Just another light shaker to him. Micah says, let me show you what a solid strike looks like. Micah will be going to junior gold this summer for the first time. Right about the time this show drops, he'll be going through some of the practice rounds. And we hope that this show reaches some of our bowlers, so they'll have something to watch while passing time in their hotel room. And he shreds the rack. Cuts Jesse's lead. Watch this. Watch the 5-pin, the one behind the head pin. Man, that thing made it over to the 7-pin in record time. And Jesse gets another strike and now takes a 16-pin lead into the 10th frame. Here's a comparison of these two young players. Side by side, their game's actually pretty similar. You can see Micah's got the ball a lot closer to his ankle than Jesse does. But they're both very consistent, very repeatable. I think we're going to see a lot more of Micah next year. Oh! Well, I used to say, I don't care if they fall down one at a time, as long as they all fall down. Watch this. I don't think it's the head pin that gets the 7. It's the 5-pin. He just barely touched it. It fell over, and then it started rolling. And it rolled out the 7. How about that? Very unusual pin action. One more strike, and he will shut out Micah. Turn out the lights. Jesse's going to be in the 260s. Not bad. No worry about what pin got what pin on that one. They just all went down in an explosion. Strike for 264. Any questions? Micah never knew what hit him. Micah has bowled really well this match, but the best he could do was put up a double. He got 3 of them. And once again, he stopped at 2 strikes as a ringing 10 stops this string. So it just wasn't meant to be for Micah today, but he's bowled really well. And I have a feeling that this next season that starts in September, as we've been talking about which players are going to step up and replace the top-tier players that are aging out over the summer, Micah just might be one of them. And he says, abracadabra. I got some magic in these fingers. But it's Jesse Holtkamp who's moving on to match 2, and now he'll face the other bowler from Junction City, Kansas, Landon Ziegenhurt. Here's a fun fact. 1 year ago at the Prodigy TOC, the defending champion at the time, P.J. Douglas, was denied an opportunity to defend his title in the wildcard round when Nolan Nash knocked him out, just as Jesse Holtkamp did to this year's defending champion, Rhett Ryman. And then, after being the sole survivor in the wildcard round 1 year ago, Nolan bowled his first stepladder match and threw a 300 game. Similarly, today, Jesse Holtkamp came through the wild card round and threw an 11-strike game in defeating Micah Page. Micah bowled really well for his first time on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and he looks like someone we might want to keep our eyes on in the upcoming season. But today, it's Jesse who's taking the next step forward and will bowl in match 2 against our number 3 qualifier, Landon Ziegenhurt. It's 2 players from Junction City, Kansas, for the right to continue climbing the stepladder in the scratch division at the Prodigy TOC. If you'd have told me there would be 2 bowlers of this caliber in Junction City, Kansas, I would say you're crazy, but here they are. Landon Ziegenhurt, first time I laid eyes on him, he won the Pepsi, and I thought, oh my God, how is anybody ever going to beat him? Well, that's how, when he does stuff like that. The Greek Church, well, that's a fine how do you do. The Big Five, as it's sometimes called. 2 schools of thought. Go for the 3 for the count, or I usually go for the 2 to try to make it. Oh! That was close. I just don't generate the ball speed that a player like Landon can. I think going for the 3 makes the most sense if you throw it hard, because you got to bounce one off the left wall. But the way I shoot it, slow balling it, you can make it going for the 2. And that 7-pin must be nailed down. Jesse Holtkamp can't believe he didn't get a strike that time. Well, Jesse's aging out this summer because he's already 18. Landon turns 18 in August after the August 1st deadline. So he could bowl as a junior bowler next season, but he has opted not to. We got a scoring issue in the bowling center. That's Jaden Morgan who is taking care of it for us. Former youth bowler in our Saturday morning league here at Olathe Lanes East, who now works in the snack bar and does some odd jobs for the bowling center every now and then, like when the scoring is not playing nice, he will come down and fix it. Thank you, Jaden. wide with that one. Well, Jesse Holtkamp once shot 3 300s in 22 days. Let me repeat that. He shot 3 300s in 22 days. And he calls that his best moment in bowling. And I think if something like that ever happened to me, I might say the same thing. That's pretty good. Now, Landon Ziegenhurt, he says his best moment in bowling came when he beat Caden White in March. With shots like that. We asked these kids on a questionnaire questions like, who's your favorite pro bowler? Landon wrote, Caden White. He's not a pro just yet, but it may seem like he is sometimes, I know. Both of these players say they started bowling at the age of 2 and started bowling league at the age of 4. So, man, they really start them early. Just a little high with that one. 4-pin remains. So these players still kind of feeling out this pair of lanes. Jesse thought he had them figured out, but a little delay between the first and second match. Oh! I did not see that coming. Landon Ziegenhurt's ball takes a sharp left turn in front of the 4-pin, and he missed it by a lot. So that's 2 open frames in the first 3 frames. And Jesse puts one through the nose and leaves the 3-6-10. This is a choppable spare. Got to be careful with this. And he is careful with it and converts it. Jesse says his favorite pro bowler is Jason Belmonte. He and a lot of other people. Oh! Well, that had trouble written all over it, but he escapes with a strike. Watch this. He had the 4-9 staring at him, but the 4 and then the 9 got knocked out late. All right, Landon. Oh, my goodness. Can't throw it any better than that. Well, when asked what he wants to be when he grows up, he wrote, a professional water polo player. So I'm thinking he's going to grow up to be a smartass. I've always said I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass, so. Obviously, the kid has a personality. I like him. Both of these players list other sports they play. Landon says he plays baseball and football. And Jesse says he plays baseball and basketball. Now, how Jesse plays basketball at 5'2", well, I guess there are short people in basketball. Landon cuts sharply through the nose, and he is just somewhat bewildered, I think. Just not finding the road to the pocket. Here's the 3, 6, 9, 10, and how to make it. You put it on the 3 and 6, and you got to carry out that 9 pin. Send the 6 into the 10. Gave that one a little extra loft to get it down the lane before it started hooking. This is not like a KCO where they're bowling on the burn. The TV pair for the Handicap Division earlier and the Scratch Division now was fresh oil when the wild card rounds began. Not a lot of play in the wild card round, so there's still a lot of oil out there when the stepladder started. Jesse with a light shaker to double up and increase his lead. Swings it out to about 5 at the break point and just gets him to move out of the way. 32 pins in front. Make it 42 pins. Watch it again. Yep, he is in dead stroke. Between what he's done here and in the wild card round earlier. Landon, you're going to need a lot more of those if you want to catch Jesse. But I have to say, I'm digging these shoes. Get a load of these pink bowling shoes. Ball change. Gave it the big loft to get it to delay the hook. But boy, when it did hook, it was really coming. Look at these. The best thing on the lanes today. That's some serious loft and a lot of hook on the back end. And I don't know, it may have gotten Jesse's attention, but Jesse just left himself a problem. We used to call this the super washout or the PBA washout. The washout is the 1, 2, 4, 10. You add the 6 pin and it adds a layer of complexity, but it also gives you 2 options on how to shoot it. If you put the ball on the right side of the head pin, you'd want to play it with a straight ball down the left side of the lane. Jesse's going to hook it. Oh! And that's one of the unfortunate things that can happen. You send that 1 pin around the 6-10, and this time it just got caught in the gutter and stayed there. So it's an open frame, and now all of a sudden this match is pretty tight. 13 pins separating them. Heading into the 8th frame. Oh, and a good shot by Jesse, not rewarded. So all of a sudden, Landon is right back in this. He could take the lead in his next at-bat. All right, a spare for Jesse. And now Landon, with a strike in the 8th, can cut the lead to 3. And then if he gets another strike in the 9th, he would take the lead by 7. And would set himself up so that Jesse could not shut him out. So these next 2 shots, super important for Landon. And there's one. Game on. And this was a good one here. Never a doubt. Now, can he get another one here? Oh man, he went with that other ball that hooks a ton. Gave it the big loft, but he cut it short and didn't get it down the lane far enough. It crosses over. He's lucky he just left the 5-pin. But he covers it. But that hands the advantage to Jesse. Now Jesse has the opportunity with a strike in the 9th and the 10th and good count in the 11th. He can shut out Landon. Boom. First part of the mission is accomplished. Watch it again here. As Jesse finds the pocket with this one. Not much doubt about that. Now, a strike here in the 10th and then a 9 count will do it. Boom. Wow. He shreds the rack. It's almost like rubbing Landon's face in it. Watch this. A little light shaker action, but man, he just sent everything over toward the 7-pin. All right, 9 pins will do it. Well, there's 8. Now, if he were to happen to whiff this and miss both of them, he'd finish with 201. Landon could strike out in the 10th for 201, and we'd have a roll-off. So Jesse needs to get one of these 2 pins to secure the win. And Jesse gets them both for good measure. And that'll do it. So now Jesse Holtkamp has won the first 2 matches of the stepladder after coming out of the wild card round as the sole survivor. So it's been the Jesse Holtkamp show so far, at least in the scratch division. Landon Ziegenhurt just kind of going through the motions of completing the match to get a final score. Covers the 2-8. He will finish with 189, assuming he strikes here on the fill ball. And there it is. So it's a 203 to 189 victory. Jesse Holtkamp claims bragging rights in Junction City over Landon Ziegenhurt. And now Jesse is moving on to match 3, where he'll face our number 2 qualifier, Eli Clinklin, when we return. In a match that ended up closer than the final score would indicate, Landon Ziegenhurt got behind the 8-ball early and had to play the role of the pursuer the rest of the way.
Then he put on a heroic comeback and got within one strike of taking the lead in the 9th frame. But an errant shot by Landon that left the 5-pin was all Jesse Holdcamp needed to reestablish dominance in the match. And when Jesse threw strikes in the 9th and 10th, that was all she wrote. Landon's bid for an improbable come-from-behind victory was quashed. So it's Jesse Holdcamp who takes a 2-game winning streak into match 3, where he'll now face the number 2 qualifier, Eli Clinklin. Eli didn't actually win a KCO event this season, but he got into the Prodigy TOC on a special exemption we offered to Division I players who finished the season in the top 10 on the KCO point list. I think Eli's qualifying as the 2 seed is proof positive that he would love nothing more than to make the most of the opportunity. And I think it's proof positive that he belongs in the field as well. These are not only champions, but championship caliber players. Although Eli Clinklin says he's only won 1 tournament so far. That was the Pepsi, so I don't think he's won any KCOs yet. But he might win a big tournament today. Oh, look at Jesse Holdcamp. Boy, talk about covering some boards. Sent that one way out to the right. Watch this one. This was a fishing expedition out to about the 4th board. Comes in light, sends the head pin to the left wall, and it backdoors the 2-pin. Well, that's one way of doing it. All right, Eli Clinklin. Well, that's a solid strike right there. And I'll tell you what, we talked about the swing of a couple of the other players today being nice and compact. This is another one that's nice and compact, similar to that of Caden White. The difference is Eli lets that elbow drift away from his body a bit more in the backswing, but he keeps everything nice and tight. Both players strike in the first frame. Well, he pulled that one. Didn't give it the room that he did in the first frame, and now he's left himself a little bit of a problem. The 310 baby split. You want to fit the ball right between the 2 pins, hit the right side of the 3-pin with the ball. The ball will deflect over into the 10. But not if you throw it there. Goodness, that was a huge whiff. So, an open frame, and now Jesse in command early. But Jesse sends it wide, and it doesn't quite get back, and so he's left with the 2-8. Anytime you've got double wood like this, that sleeper 8 in the back, you got to be careful. From the player's position on the approach, it looks like it's just a few inches behind the 2-pin, but it's not. It's way back there. But he covers it easily. That's how you do it. And so, a strike spare start for Jesse Holdcamp. Well, okay. Back-to-back 2-8s. I guess he enjoyed it so much he thought he'd leave it again. You really don't want to tempt fate too many times with this spare. It can be a little tricky. Got to be careful and not let the ball hook past the center of the front pin. Keep it on the right side like that and you'll be golden.
So strike, spare, spare to start for Jesse. And now Eli, coming off that open, would like to bounce back and start a little string of strikes. Jesse, as we mentioned earlier, is 18 years old. Eli is 17. So we've got him for another season coming up in the fall. And there's a little light shaker action. I loves me some light shakers. Let's take a look at Eli's style. 5-step approach. See how he keeps that ball tight. That elbow is pretty close to his body. Down at the bottom of the swing, that ball is right under his head, a little bit to the left of that. That's perfect. Close to his ankle. Hand under the ball, palm facing the pins. You see, he does raise up a little bit. I'd like to see him stay down through the release. If you pull up, sometimes you can pull the ball left of target. But that was a solid shot. Crowding the head pin that time, but he trips the 4-9. And all in all, I think Eli's got to be pretty happy. 3 strikes in 4 frames to start. So Jesse up on the right lane, trying to recapture some of the magic he had going on earlier. There you go. We'll take another look at Jesse's game here. Also a 5-step approach. You see he's got that elbow in nice and tight next to his body. Love to see it. But at the bottom of the swing, he lets that ball get away from his body, and the elbow is away from his torso. We've pointed this out in the past, but because he's a shorter player, he can kind of get away with that. It's hard to keep everything in tight when you don't have the long trunk that taller players are working with. Jesse rips him apart that time and gets the messenger to deliver the mail to the 10-pin. Watch it again. It's going to be the head pin. It goes to the left wall and comes back and wipes out the 10-pin. Love it. All right, Eli. Gave that one a little extra room, and boy, that worked. Here's a side-by-side of these two, the long and the short of it here. Synced up at the release point. Two very different games. Jesse really zips that thing down the lane. Eli lets the ball do a little more of the work. And another one right in the pocket. My goodness. 5 out of 6. Over the third arrow, out to about maybe 6 at the break point. That was beautiful. Uh-oh. That looked like a similar line, but it seemed like Jesse took something off the speed of it, and that thing just jumped like crazy on the back end. Here's the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10. We've had it made before on Prodigy a few times. Jesse gives it a go, but he's a little wide of the mark with it, and that is an open frame. And 7 out on a double. Well, he bounces back with a pocket hit, but the 10-pin not cooperating. So he'll go cross lane at it and make short work of it. So Eli Clinklin with a double up, leading by 29. He can pretty much run away and hide here with 2 more strikes in this turn. How about it? Eli on fire. Watch it again. See how he stands up through the shot. If he would stay down, keep that left knee bent through the release and just hold it. Got to build up some strength in that left leg to be able to do it, but that would help him with his consistency. There's another solid strike, and Eli with 7 strikes in 8 frames. Here's a closer look at his footwork. Real solid, just a little drift to the left. That is common for right-handers nowadays. The old thinking was to swing around your body. The modern thinking is walk around your swing. And that's what these modern players do, is they walk left to get out of the way of their swing. Jesse with a solid strike in the 8th, but he's running out of frames, trailing by 49. This was a good one, though. He can strike out for 217. Problem is, Eli is going at a 236 pace. So Jesse's going to need some help no matter what. And Eli doesn't look like he's in a very charitable mood. Not looking to give any help. This is as good as I've seen him bowl. I mean, we did see him shoot 300 during the qualifying round back in Leavenworth in February. We got the last frame of that on video, which you saw on Prodigy. But actually just seeing him bowl on the show like this, never seen him bowl like this. He just needs a handful of pins and he's on to the championship match. See you later. Look at Eli go. Over the 3rd arrow, out to about 6, right in the swish zone. Rips them apart. It is fun to see a player in dead stroke. It's even more fun to be the player in dead stroke. A little high with that one, but he's going to be in the 250s. That'll do. That'll win most matches. .255 with a conversion here. And that's what it be, 255. Thank you very much. Jesse will finish with 217 if he throws 3 strikes in the 10th. There's one. And if there's one thing I have learned about some of these kids on Prodigy Bowlers Tour is even if the match is out of hand and they know they're not going to win, you very rarely see them just go through the motions and finish it out without trying. They will not waste a shot. Look at this. Might as well get all you can. Now watch this. He's going to throw his spare ball. No, maybe not. Okay. He was going to throw his spare ball and make a liar out of me, but nope. He doesn't take a lot of time with this one, and he finishes with a wide open split. But still, that's a 213 finish. I think when you finish with a double in the 10th, you've done about all you can do. But it's Eli Clinklin who's going to bowl for the Charles Bostic Award against his good buddy Caden White next. Jesse Holtkamp had a heck of a ride today. After coming out of the wild card round as the sole survivor, he defeated 2 strong opponents in the stepladder finals in Micah Page and Landon Ziegenhurt. And then he hung close to Eli Clinklin in match 3. That is, until Eli dropped a little 8-bagger on him. So it's a 3rd-place finish at the Prodigy TOC for Jesse today in his final event on Prodigy before aging out. Hopefully we'll see him down the road as the adult partner in an upcoming adult youth doubles tournament. But for now, we turn our attention to the championship match in the scratch division between the 2-seed Eli Clinklin and the 1-seed and newly named Player of the Year, Caden White. This is a rematch of the final at the February KCO, where Caden got the better of Eli. One of these 2 young men will claim the Charles Bostic Award as the winner of the scratch division at the Prodigy TOC and will advance to bowl in the final showdown against Handicap Division winner Jonathan Cooper. This should be a good one. These 2 are good friends, both from Lee Summit, Missouri. Eli Clinklin is going to go first. Caden had the option. He's going to let Eli start the match. I think Caden wants to finish first. And boom, right in the hole. Eli with a strike to start. Continuing right where he left off in that semifinal match. Swings it out to about 8, and that was planted right in the pocket. All right, Caden White, the Player of the Year. And the Player of the Year goes through the nose and leaves himself a big split, the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10. The second time we've seen this split today on Prodigy. Put the ball over on the 3 and 6, slide the 3 over into the 4, and hope that it all mixes up and gets the 7. Oh, how about that? Wow, what a shot. And I'll tell you what, that's almost as good as a strike in the first frame, because when you make one of these to start the match, boy, that can really calm your nerves and get under the nerves of your opponent, thinking they were going to take the early lead. Well, not so fast, Buckaroo. Oh, wow. That looked like a pretty good shot to me, right in the pocket. Stone 9. The 3-pin did look like it was sitting a little off spot, though, to the left. I don't like that. You get a narrow pocket. Funny things happen. You always have the option, unless there's a rule against it for some reason, but you always have the option in USBC competition to punch off what you perceive to be a bad rack. All right, Eli with a strike up. Now he's got a double up. And Eli takes the early lead. One thing I really like about his game, see how he sets up with his spine angle tilted to the right a little bit? This opens up a path for the ball to swing. You see, he maintains that angle throughout his approach. We don't talk about that too much. It's kind of a modern way of doing things. It used to be the players would stand with their spine angle more or less upright, but not so much these days. And that is a beautiful shaker. And Eli is off and running. A turkey to begin. Watch it again. He's about a board right of the third arrow. Swings it out to about 5. It looks like he has moved back to the right a little bit. I don't know if I believe that. He may have just missed, but he got away with it. And there's a solid strike by Caden White. Still sporting that bleach blonde hair after his high school team had a bet at state. Take a look at his game. See how he keeps that ball on his elbow nice and tight against his body, nice and compact. At the bottom of the swing, the ball under his head or a little to the left of it, nice and close to the ankle. When you check all those boxes, usually good things happen down at the pin deck. And such is the case on that shot. Now he'd like to get a little string of strikes started. And the messenger shows up right on time. So Caden's got to be feeling pretty good about this one. Watch how he holds the pose. See how he stays down after he lets go of the ball? That is excellent. Posting the shot. All right, Eli. Perfect through 3. Can he make it 4? Oh, yes, indeed. Eli seems to have a reservoir of strikes he can draw from today. He threw 9 in the last game, and now he's got the first 4 in this match. I like this guy's game. It's real simple. Not a lot of moving parts. Like I said, the one thing I would encourage him to do is stay down through the release, rather than pulling up like that. But can't argue with the results. Obviously, very well coached. And I know his dad is a coach. I'm assuming he's the one coaching Eli. He's doing something right. Doing a lot right. Oh, man. You throw it that good, you expect to be rewarded. But the 6-pin goes flying around the 10. Solid 10, part of the game. I hate to see it, though. Caden will go straight at it. Oh, my gosh. I'm not sure I've ever seen Caden miss a 10-pin. He sure doesn't miss single-pin spares very often. This guy's one of the best spare shooters we've got. And it's Jaden back to fix the scoring. Apparently, the sensor on the right lane is not seeing one of the pins. So anyway, it's fixed now. Man, just a little bit high. Got the 9 to go out, but the 4-pin remains. And Caden White has bowled a pretty good game to only have 2 strikes to show for it. The only errant shot he threw, other than the missed spare, was that split that he left in the first frame. And then he made that. But Caden can do the math. Eli leads by 44 pins. And with 2 more strikes in the 6th and 7th, he can move out ahead by 64. If he can keep this string going. Oh! Look at that. I don't know what tripped the 4. Usually on a trip 4, you see the 2-pin slip between the 4 and 7, but this was something from the other side of the rack. This is the 3-pin, I believe, that comes back from the right wall, rolls across the deck, and rolls out the 4. We have seen some unusual pin action today. But it's 6 in a row. Call it 7 in a row. And there's that 64-pin lead we were talking about. Well, let's take a look at 3 of them. Eli Clinklin in the 1st, 5th, and 7th frames. They all look pretty similar, I'd say. How similar? Well, we can really tell if we stack them on top of one another with our exclusive Prodigy Bowlers Tour 3 Deep look. All 3 shots stacked on top of each other. And there's not even that much difference after he lets the ball go. This guy is just in the zone. He's not thinking about anything. He's just freewheeling it. A strike in the 7th for Caden White, and with all the strikes he has thrown, this might surprise you, but he says his best moment bowling came earlier this year when he threw the last shot of his high school career to win state for his team. This is a high school team that he helped form. They didn't have high school bowling at his school until he lobbied to make it happen. Chin pin. And now the best Caden can do is 216. And I can pretty much tell you that ain't going to get it done. As Eli Clinklin can get past 216 without making a single mark in the last 3 frames. So they're just going through the motions of finishing this one out. There, that's more like what we're used to seeing when Caden shoots a 10-pin. Well, we're going to see another one of these. It comes down to the last ball at the KCO Invitational. We had 2 games in the 290s, one in each of the 2 divisions that we covered at the tournament. Eli with the 8th strike. And he's just rolling with it. You don't question it when it happens. You don't overthink it. You just get out of your own way. He can put this match away and claim the Charles Bostic Award with 4 pins on this ball. I like his chances. Boom. And there's the front 9. What a way to win. Good balance, solid at the line. What's not to like about this guy's game? Look out for Eli in 2025-26, I'm telling you. Well, Caden, you didn't lose, you just got beat. He's had as many, actually now he's going to finish the season with more second place finishes than first. I was going to say he had the same number, but now it's going to be 2 firsts, 3 seconds, a third, and a 5th. And that's just counting the KCO and KCO-related events like this one. Possible 216. Oh, my God, he fell off balance. I never see Caden fall off balance. I think we'll get a look at it here. Oh, he's stuck at the line. That's why. Yep. It's hot and sticky in the Kansas City area today. And on these synthetic bowling lanes, sometimes the approaches do get a little sticky. Shakes him out. I know he would have rather won, but if you're going to get beat, might as well get beat by somebody who throws the front 9 at you. Somebody who's a good friend. That takes some of the sting out of it. There it is, a 216 for Caden White. And now we can watch and see if Eli Clanklin can become just the 5th player ever to roll a perfect game on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. He's got the front 10. I commented in June at the KCO Invitational when Andrew Lindsay threw his 10th. You know a player threw it good when they go down to their knees. Eli's just begging for it to not do something stupid like a stone 8. So his chances for a 300 still in play. Needs 2 more strikes. Going for the 11th. You heard his dad in the background say, work, work. Begging that ball to get back. It didn't. He leaves the 2-8. So it's going to be a 288 if he covers it. There it is, a 288. And the winner of the Scratch Division at the Prodigy TOC and the winner of the Charles Bostic Award is Eli Clinklin. But wait, there's more. Jonathan Cooper and Eli Clinklin will bowl for the Coveted Trophy Pin next. Well, Caden White certainly had a season to remember, even if his final match on Prodigy may not have quite lived up to his aspirations. But when your opponent throws the front 10 strikes at you, there's really not much you can do but tip your cap and congratulate him. But Caden isn't exactly leaving empty-handed. He's taking with him his second PBAA Player of the Year award, and this year he doesn't have to share it. Meanwhile, Eli Clinklin has claimed the Charles Bostic Award for winning the Scratch Division at the 2025 Prodigy TOC. And that means he'll face the winner of the Handicap Division, Jonathan Cooper, who captured the Hunter Moffitt Award earlier. Now here's a reminder of how the Handicap Division stepladder played out.
Oh, and in case anyone is thinking that Jonathan Cooper, the winner of the Handicap Division, has been having to sit idly by while the Scratch Division stepladder played out, that is not the case. The two stepladders played out simultaneously. You saw them play out consecutively thanks to the miracle of time shifting. And while the Handicap Division did finish a little earlier than the Scratch Division, rest assured that Jonathan has not been pacing back and forth for the past 90 minutes waiting for this match to start. But before we go all in on the Final Showdown, here's a final recap of how the entire Scratch Division fared at the Prodigy TOC, all 16 players. These are the final standings. Players 1 through 5 rank where they stood after the stepladder. Players 6 through 10 ranked where they were after the wild card round. And players 11 through 16 where they stood after qualifying. So the rules for the Final Showdown are pretty simple. Jonathan gets his handicap pins, all 33 of them. And Eli, of course, gets no pins in handicap. We've given the option of which lane the players will start on to the Handicap Division player. And we're bowling on the same pair of lanes on which the Handicap Division held their stepladder finals. Both players got 2 practice balls on each lane. It's down to this one final game, the Final Showdown. To the winner goes the winner's share of the Smart Scholarship prize money, $600, and $450 goes to the runner-up. And of course, the winner of the Final Showdown takes possession of the grand prize they've all had their eyes on since the season began back in September, the Coveted Trophy Pin. And this is the match we've been targeting all season long. Who'd have thought when we met Jonathan Cooper back in April that he would be bowling against the winner of the Scratch Division for the Coveted Trophy Pin. But here he is. Pulled it. Crosses over. Nearly got a strike out of it, but leaves the 9. You see he's getting 33 pins of handicap. Oh no. Don't be missing single pin spares. All right. This is a 1-game match. The winner will take the winner's share of the scholarship prize fund and the Coveted Trophy Pin. Eli Clinklin finds the route to the pocket here on this pair of lanes as well. This is a different pair than where we were bowling the Scratch Division a little while ago. This is where Jonathan and his cohorts in the Handicap Division were bowling their stepladder. So he should be familiar with this pair of lanes. That is Eli's dad right over Eli's left shoulder. Kind of blocked out now, but an interested spectator, to say the least. Comes in thin, leaves the 2-pin. Uses his spare ball and goes straight at the 2-pin. I like that. Eli's been bowling since he was 8. Jonathan Cooper, on the other hand, has only been bowling a couple of years. He's 16, started bowling when he was 14. He's still looking for his first 600 Scratch series.
Sends that one wide, leaving the 1-2. You see Jonathan's parents to the left side of your screen. That's his dad in the black and purple shirt. And I think it's safe to say that Jonathan looks a little tense. The Handicap Division finished their stepladder about 20 minutes before the Scratch Division did, so he got to see Eli's 288. Or part of it anyway. So he knows what he's up against. But this is a golden opportunity for a handicap player. Jonathan, a Division IV player, to make it this far into the Final Showdown is really quite something. Goes high, leaves the 310. Now the best way to shoot this is from the extreme left side of the lane. I think he's doing it just right. Down the left side of the lane. Gives you the best angle. There you go. Good shot. Take another look at that one. When you move to the left, you kind of close down the gap between the 3 and 10 pins. When you play it down the right side of the lane, it opens up that gap. You have to be a little more accurate. All right, Eli up on the right lane. Crosses over and gets away with it, and he cannot believe his good fortune. We'll get a look from the front and the back. We'll get his reaction to it. And he says, wow. Wow, indeed. All right, working on a strike. Make that a double. And he cuts Jonathan's lead down to just 10 pins. And that will get Jonathan's heart rate going a little quicker. Well, that's another Brooklyn, and this time he doesn't get the pin action to break up the split, and now he's left with the 5-10. Here's how you make it. You got to put the ball on the left side of the 5 pin, just graze it, and slide it over into the 10. But he gets the wrong side of the 5 pin, and that's another open frame. So with that, Jonathan surrenders the lead. So he has squandered his 33 pins of handicap, and if he's going to win this, he's going to have to man up and do it on his own. It's okay. He can do this. And if he were to happen to do it, it would be a real feather in his cap. Ooh. Well, that one just doesn't quite get up. And he leaves the washout, the 1-2-4-10. Well, we've seen variations on the washout today already. Put the ball on the left side of the head pin. Drive the 1 pin into the 10. The ball will get the 2 and the 4. Pretty good effort. Just a little heavy on the head pin. So Eli takes a 14-pin lead, and he's working on a double. Eli says his favorite pro bowler is Andrew Anderson. Might explain why he's so smooth. Oh! And he gets the trip 4. Anytime you can start carrying shots that are a little high, you know it might be your day. Here's his footwork coming right at you. And this is a more traditional trip 4 than the one we saw earlier where the 3-pin rolled across the deck and got the 4-pin. And another strike makes his lead grow to 34 pins. And Jonathan Cooper, it's time to get busy. Well, he hasn't been throwing shots like this all day, I guarantee you. He's just nervous. Maybe a little intimidated, knowing he's going up against a Division I player who just shot 288. Feeling like he's a little overmatched. But that's okay. You just got to shut that out and bowl your game. But he hooks by the head pin, and we got trouble right here in River City. Well, this isn't River City, but you know what I mean. I know Jonathan feels it slipping away, but you just gotta keep going. Fight through it, see what happens. That's a high hit. And he has found just about every way there is to miss the pocket in the first 7 frames of this match. And that is not the Jonathan Cooper that I have seen bowl for the last several months. He just felt like he was out of his element in this match. I think Eli would admit that there was a time that he felt like he was there. Every young player I've ever known goes through those growing pains. And dealing with it mentally is the toughest part. The mental game is always the last thing they master. I have not yet seen a single kid who's an exception to that rule. Well, I think Eli can pretty much walk this one in from here. A 69-pin lead with 3 frames to go. Well, I know what he was thinking. He was thinking back-to-back 280 games would be sweet. And he's right, it would have been. But let's not get greedy. There's a spare in the 8th. And now Jonathan Cooper can just forget about the score now and just bowl his game. Well, he gets a crossover for his first strike of the match. Not the kind of strike he had hoped for, but a strike is a strike is a strike. And sometimes that'll loosen you up a little. He's got a few fundamentals he can work on. I know he's got a coach. I showed him a couple of things earlier on the show. That's a better shot. Oh, yes, that's a much better shot. Well, how many times have I said it on the show that once the pressure is off, it's funny how the strikes come a whole lot easier. When you don't feel the tension in your shoulders, you don't have the butterflies in your stomach, it's just easier to throw the ball. Eli with a strike in the ninth. I guess that'll officially go down as the shutout ball. But I don't think there was much doubt about the outcome of this match for a little while now. He can end up in the 250s. Well, I tell you what, he has looked really good on Prodigy today. He shot 250 something in his first match, then 288. And he can finish with 259 here. Somebody do the math. What does that add up to? It's a lot. Well, he's not quite going to get there. But I bet he can make the 8-pin. That'll put him in the 230s. That's still pretty juicy. So a strike for 239. Well, outside the camera's view, you don't see it here, but I was sitting with Jonathan telling him, okay, so you started the match. You felt a little intimidated, like you were overmatched. Like you didn't really have a chance against this guy, and you were nervous, scared, didn't want to embarrass yourself. Okay, that's over now. Just go bowl your game. Just throw a few shots the way you know how to throw them. See what happens. And then all of a sudden, the real Jonathan Cooper comes out. This is more like what we expected. But he'd never been in a position like this before, and it'll be a learning experience. I think he's going to come away from this saying, I maybe could have won this thing if I had just bowled my game. Maybe. Look at this guy. Who's this guy bowling in Jonathan Cooper's spot? Well, no matter how it played out, I think these kids are all going to agree this was a good experience. Where was this earlier? One more. And look at this guy finish with a 5-bagger. But it's Eli Clinklin who is the Prodigy TOC Champion today. He will claim the Coveted Trophy Pin and will hand out the hardware to both champions when we return next.
Before we send you down to the lanes for the presentation of the awards to our two champions, mention must be made of just how historic a performance Eli Clinklin gave us today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. His games of 255 in the semifinal match of the Scratch Stepladder, 288 in the championship match, and 239 in the Final Showdown totals 782. That's the second highest three-game total ever bowled on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and the highest ever in a USBC certified event, and the highest ever in the Kansas City area, eclipsing Nolan Nash's 777 in Gladstone back in October of 2023. The only performance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour that produced a higher three-game total was at the Home for the Holidays special that we recorded back in December in Georgia, where Charles Bostic threw 256, 279, and 276 for an 8-11 in a non-sanctioned exhibition event. Here are the top 6 three-game performances in the history of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. And Eli Clinklin's name is now right up there. So, let's get to the part where we hand out the hardware.
Okay, first of all, thanks everybody for coming out to the Prodigy TOC today. We got some awards to hand out for winning the Handicap Division. Yeah. For winning the Handicap Division, the Hunter Moffitt Award goes to Jonathan Cooper. Congratulations. Way to go, buddy. This thing doesn't want to stand up, so you're going to have to use some Scotch tape on the bottom. Okay. But for winning the Scratch Division today, the Charles Bostic Award goes to Eli Clinklin, and I'm not sure if the award means as much to him as the fact that he finally beat Caden on something. Yeah. There is one more bit of business, actually 2 more bits of business. I don't remember what the money was. Oh, wait a minute, there it is. $600 and $450, I think. I think it came to $600 in scholarship money for our winner and $450 for the runner-up. So congratulations to both of you for that. And finally, the prize they've been eyeing all year, the Coveted Trophy Pin, goes to Eli Clinklin. When Prodigy first moved to Kansas City, I moved up here in November of 2021, and our first Prodigy telecast of the KCO was the KCO Invitational in 2022, which was won by Mike Anderson. And that was the first time I discovered that sometimes we're going to cover kids in the periphery on the show. And the first kid I ever noticed was this guy who was in a match against one of the Walworth boys. I forget who it was. He ended up beating you, but you ended up making the 4-7-10.
Oh, look at this. Somebody's got the 4-7-10. Oh, this is Elijah Clinklin. And he made it. Just as Mike was shooting at his strike.
And we showed it, and that's what caught my eye about this guy right here. And today, he's the champion of champions. Congratulations. Way to go, buddy. Way to go. Thank you all. We'll see you in September.
Remember, the Kansas City Open kicks off its 31st season on September 7th, right here at Olathe Lanes East. For information on how to enter and maybe qualify to appear on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, visit the KCO's website at www.kansascityopen.com. If you like what we do here on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, remember, we'll be kicking off our 10th season at the September KCO. And you can bet we've got something special planned for our 10th season. Give the video a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell so you'll never miss a new episode. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below and share the video on your social media feeds with your bowling friends and family. All these things help us grow the channel. If you'd like to kick in a little to support the work that goes into producing these shows, become a Prodigy patron. Go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and follow the instructions on how to become a Prodigy patron. For just $5 a month, you get early access to all our full-length episodes. And for $10 a month, you get early access and you get your name listed in the show's closing credits as an executive producer. Again, go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and become a Prodigy patron. You know, there's a Prodigy Facebook group where you can keep up with all things Prodigy, even during the off-season. From any page on Facebook, type Prodigy Bowlers Tour into the search bar and hit enter. That'll take you to the page where you can submit a request to join the group. Just remember to answer the 3 screening questions so we'll know you're an actual human being interested in the show and not some spam bot or troll. Nobody wants those in the group. Well, that's it for the 2025 Prodigy TOC. Congratulations to Jonathan Cooper and Eli Clinklin. We're officially off for the rest of the summer, but don't be surprised if we post some updates concerning how the Prodigy kids are doing at Junior Gold. And if you're one of our Prodigy kids in Green Bay for Junior Gold, kick some bowling ass. All right, this is Coach Randy reminding you to stay behind the foul line and keep kicking out the corner pins, not the ball returns or foul lights. And I'll talk to you when Prodigy Season 10 begins in September. In the meantime, go get your bowl on.